Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, we keep hearing about the second wave. Well, there's a lot of people in the mental health field who believe that the second wave is really going to be a pandemic of mental health issues. So to talk about that today, Cathy Kilpatrick, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the reason I invited you on the show, we actually met at a conference a couple of years ago, and you have a very interesting approach to mental health issues and trauma. Can you explain that to us?
Sure. Splankna therapy has been around for over 20 years. And what we do is we do muscle testing to find out what is the trauma inside of you. So if something is buried deep, you won't walk in with that. You may say, I'm nervous or I'm anxious, but we can find out what is it. Is there a trauma, a bad memory, or some kind of trigger for you, or PTSD that comes up every time something hits you? Let's find out what that is and find out what the trigger is. And it helps so many people.
And this is something that you've been a fan of for a decade now. At
least, yeah. First I was a client. So we're all clients because you just drive on the highway and you become a crazy maniac, and so we have to find out why you get so angry about things, or why children get so angry and they're 3 years old, because daddy's angry. Why is daddy angry?
And I think what we've seen with the pandemic is just people losing their minds. I mean, fights at grocery stores over toilet paper.
Right.
Do we all become a child? A kind of these are my blocks?
Right. And some of it is sometimes we get hysterical because we hear things that are out of our control. It's not the thing that you don't have any toilet paper. That's not it. It's that it's the end of the world, or you get hysterical over what is they're being heard or taught or being told. And it's just that my life is out of control and I need everything in control. That's why they hoard, because they need control. And it's because I'm out of control. I don't understand.
Yes.
And it's more than just something is going on. How does it affect me personally?
Yes, and you're working on a book now. We're going to put your book cover up on the screen so people can see it. How I See It. And it involves your dad.
Right. So my father, as a young man, was in the Korean War, and he was actually left for dead on Hill number 14 in Korea. So he was completely paralyzed, and the medic came around. He couldn't speak, he couldn't see, he couldn't do anything, and they left him for dead. They put a poncho over him and left him for dead, and he spent the whole night trying to get the poncho off of him. So that's a trauma that he kept with him his whole life. So I grew up in this environment of this man that they put him back together, but then he had such trauma and pain every day of his life, and so I wondered, as a veteran family, how could we help other veterans with PTSD or whatever it is? We could have had a better life if not only they put together his body, but they helped him put together his mind and his body and his soul.
Wow. Could he have benefited from this therapy?
I think so, tremendously. And it was only till he died recently that I put the pieces back together. They put his pieces back together, but we suffered in trauma and fear that we got basically from him. So it's personal. I'm a client and I'm a practitioner.
So when somebody comes to you for the first time, what is that like? Do you have a conversation first, or do you put your hands on them and actually start to feel?
Yes, both. Sometimes honestly, it's not talk therapy. It's more than that. This is for when talk therapy isn't enough. But they want to vomit what's going on in their heart and their soul. And they usually do that the first session. And then we get into the muscle testing. So I muscle test based on a chart of suggested things that are emotions or trauma emotions.
Yes.
Like fear, dread, bad memories. And we go to an age and an emotion. And we find out, and usually they trigger right on that.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us have experienced this. You're stressed out and you feel your shoulder blades and they're all tight.
Right.
Our body is physically reacting to an emotion, right, or a fear.
Exactly. In fact, Splankna means compassion, meaning I feel the compassion that's going on in you. Compassion is a translation from the ancient Greek meaning bowels. My bowels or my heart went into my throat.
Yes.
You know, that horrible feeling that you feel.
And I'm sure you agree with me. Sometimes a person who's feeling stressed or something like that, they might do self-sabotaging things. So that now they're starting to drink, which is creating another series of issues.
Exactly. And that's what happened in my home. My father didn't want to be on medication because he saw his buddies. He spent 19 months in a VA hospital, not VA. Naval hospital, getting put back together, learning to walk again. But he didn't want to be in those locked facilities because these people were in such pain. So he did drink too much. Of course he did. He was in so much pain. But how could we have dealt with it better? I think he would have had a better life had he had this.
When does your book come out?
This year. We're so excited about it.
Yeah, you should be. That's wonderful. We're out of time for this segment. We're going to put your website up so people can get in touch with you. sunflowerministriesllc.com is the website, and you have a beautiful website.
Thank you.
Cathy, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I hope this can help one person.
Absolutely.
If it helps one person, it helps the whole family.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.